I'm Jessica, and yes, that is way too much sunscreen on my nose. I've traveled all over the world, from the busy streets of New York to the serene canals of Venice, and I thought I'd seen it all. But nothing, and I mean nothing, could have prepared me for the Philippines, a place where I discovered that apparently every white person is a celebrity. I walk down the street and suddenly I'm being called Madam, Ma'am, Sir, and my personal favorite, Kris Jenner. I swear, I do not own a reality show. I don't have a private jet. But somehow, in this beautiful tropical archipelago, I became an object of constant admiration, confusion, and mild awe. It all started the moment I stepped off the plane in Manila. My hair was a little damp, my American accent was loud, and I had a fanny pack strapped awkwardly across my chest because apparently, in my mind, fanny packs still make sense. As I walked through the terminal, kids were pointing, people were whispering, and someone actually gasped when I smiled at them. I thought, oh, they're just excited to see a foreigner. Totally normal. But I had no idea what normal meant in the Philippines. By the time I reached my hotel shuttle, I'd been called Madam 3 times by different security guards. I waved politely, thinking it was just courtesy. Then a taxi driver honked, leaned out his window, and shouted, "Hello, madam! How are you today?" I waved again, a little more enthusiastically. That's when I noticed a group of children following me, giggling and pointing. One little girl tugged on her mother's sleeve and yelled, "Mom, she looks like a star. Can we take a picture?" A star. Me, Jessica, the woman who still couldn't convert Philippine pesos to dollars without using Google. I stopped mid-step, trying to process what was happening. Kids wanted pictures of me. Strangers were calling me by titles usually reserved for royalty. I was flattered, yes, but mostly just confused. That afternoon, I ventured out to explore Intramuros, the historic walled city. I had my camera ready to capture the cobblestone streets and old churches. But as soon as I stepped onto the first street, the whispers began. "Ma'am, sir! Ma'am, sir!" I looked around and realized I was attracting a small crowd. They weren't trying to sell me anything, they just wanted to see me. A group of teenagers started snapping photos with their phones. Someone shouted, "Take a selfie with her. Take a selfie." I reluctantly obliged, and suddenly there were 8 more cameras in my face. I felt like I was in a parade I hadn't signed up for. Later, I stopped at a street food stall to buy some fish balls. The vendor greeted me warmly. "Hello, madam. What can I get for you today?" As he prepared my skewer, a mother and her child came closer. The child tugged at my sleeve and whispered, "Are you in a movie? Are you famous?" I laughed awkwardly and shook my head. "No, sweetie. I'm just visiting." But the child's eyes widened, like she knew I was lying. That's when I realized the Philippines sees foreigners differently. They don't just see tourists. They see something aspirational, glamorous, and mysterious. The pattern was set. Every place I went, the coffee shop, the souvenir market, even the public restroom, someone would stop me. "Ma'am, sir," someone would call. "Can we take a photo?" another would ask. I started walking with a new awareness. My hair had to be perfect. My smile had to be precise. I had officially become a celebrity in the eyes of total strangers. By the second day, things escalated. I went to a local mall to buy some water. As I passed a jewelry kiosk, a saleswoman waved frantically. "Madam, over here. You must try our bracelets." I tried to decline politely, but she insisted. "It's okay, madam. You will look beautiful. Everyone will see." I couldn't help but laugh. I just came here to hydrate, not to star in an ad campaign. The peak of my celebrity experience came in a small provincial town. I thought it would be peaceful. Instead, it was a full-blown fan club. People waved at me from motorcycles, tricycles, and even their porch swings. A group of children chased me down the street yelling, "Madam, madam, ma'am, sir." An elderly man gave me a thumbs up and said, "You are like our Hollywood star." I froze. Hollywood star, me? The woman who still struggled to find a decent cup of coffee in Manila. Even the local tricycle drivers got involved. They would honk and yell, "Madam, ride with me." I am your chauffeur today. I politely declined, but then realized that if I did accept, I'd have a convoy of tricycles following me, shouting compliments. The thought was so absurd and hilarious that I started laughing uncontrollably, and the children joined in. For some reason, my laughing just made them love me even more. One afternoon, I stopped at a bakery. The cashier greeted me with a bow. "Welcome, madam. What can I get for you today?" As I paid, a group of teens approached. "Can we take a photo?" "Please?" "For our Instagram." I posed awkwardly, trying to look casual, but every angle felt like a magazine cover shoot. A mother peeked over their shoulders and added, "She is very beautiful, kids. Remember her face?" I left the bakery clutching my pastries and feeling like royalty. By day 3, I started noticing patterns. People assumed I was a movie star, a YouTube influencer, or a model. I'd walk into a convenience store and the clerk would exclaim, "Madam, welcome. How are you today?" I'd mutter, "Just here for chips and water," and she'd nod seriously, as if the chips and water were part of my red carpet routine. Every interaction was a performance. Every smile was photographed. I had officially become a living meme. At a local market, I accidentally walked into a stall selling dried mangoes. The vendor stopped, bowed slightly, and said, "Madam, may I help you pick the best ones?" He then selected the juiciest, shiniest mangoes for me. A child ran by and whispered, "Wow, she is glowing." Another person whispered, "She has Hollywood hair." I was sweating in the tropical heat, clutching my mangoes and thinking, yes, I am famous, apparently, but also extremely warm. By the end of the week, my celebrity status had become a running joke. Everywhere I went, someone would shout, "Madam, ma'am, sir, Kris Jenner." I would wave, smile, and take selfies, knowing that in this corner of the world, I might as well be one. I had become part of the local culture. I even started experimenting with it. In a small town, I entered a sari store, pretending to read labels with exaggerated concentration. A mother with 2 children looked at me wide-eyed and said, "Is she looking for a snack?" "For us?" I nodded solemnly, and the children gasped. I bought a pack of cookies and dramatically placed it in my backpack. The mother whispered, "She is so generous and beautiful." I nearly fell over from laughter. Who knew buying snacks could be part of my celebrity persona? At a local festival, things got even more ridiculous. I wandered into a street parade, accidentally stepped onto a float, and suddenly people were taking videos. A man dressed as a giant carabao waved enthusiastically, shouting, "Madam, madam, ma'am, sir." The crowd cheered. I realized I could stand on that float all day, because this entire town had elevated me to legendary status for no reason whatsoever. By the time I left the Philippines, I had collected dozens of selfies, been called Kris Jenner multiple times, and acquired a fan base I could only hope wouldn't follow me home. I boarded the plane exhausted, sweaty, and overwhelmed, but also laughing hysterically. I'd survived the full Filipino treatment, adulation, confusion, and absolute celebrity status just for being a blonde American who smiled politely. And you know what? I didn't mind. Not even a little. Because in a country that is so warm, chaotic, funny, and endlessly welcoming, being a pseudo-celebrity for a week wasn't the worst thing that could happen. In fact, I might just start practicing my poses and perfecting my waves. You never know when the next blonde American will arrive, and someone needs to show her how to handle the Filipino celebrity experience. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more of my crazy travel stories.